So with that, I now recognize the acting ranking member, Ms. Manning.
Thank you very much, Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. It is in our national interest and in the interest of the free world that the United States, our allies, and our partners continue to provide robust support for the government and the people of Ukraine. We must stand firmly with a strong, democratic Ukraine against the brutal war of aggression by Russia and its autocratic leader, Putin. In order to ensure that the support we provide is as effective as possible, it's critical that we have strong and timely oversight. And I appreciate the detailed oversight mechanisms that you have each outlined in your testimony, as well as the coordination among you that is evident. Ms. Shaw, one thing that is essential for proper oversight is sufficient and well-trained professional staff. And you stated in your testimony that you need increased staffing, but are hampered by the current selection and appointment requirements, which add months to the onboarding process for new hires, and that this issue needs a legislative solution. Can you describe that problem as well as the kind of legislative solution you would like to see?
Thank you so much for that question. Absolutely, having the qualified professionals on staff to do this work is incredibly important. We are so fortunate at State OIG to have a very dedicated, very talented staff, but we have a global mission, and Ukraine is just a part of that, and so we have to make sure that we're staffed and resourced in a way that allows us to give the attention that is required to the situation in Ukraine while still advancing our global mission. As you said, some of the federal government hiring authorities that we currently have do take a long time to onboard people, and so what we're looking for are flexible hiring authorities, the sorts of hiring authorities that we have in the context of overseas contingency operations, the ability to bring on temporary and surge staff to support this work. And something else that I think could be important is extending the period of availability of the supplemental funding that we have been given. That is set to expire at the end of fiscal year 24, and I think we expect that our oversight role will extend beyond that. And so to get the right people on board and to get them engaged in doing this work, I think we would be looking both for those direct hiring and flexible hiring authorities, as well as potentially an extension of the period of availability of the existing supplemental funds.
And in your opinion, would these changes require legislation, or are these administrative issues that can be addressed with rule changes or agency changes?
My understanding is that they would, at least some of them would require a legislative solution, and so we've actually been in contact with subcommittees to talk about what that language might look like.
And Inspector General Storch, do you experience this same issue, and would you agree that this needs a legislative solution?
So thank you for the question, first of all, and let me thank you as well for the support that we've gotten from Congress, which we've been putting to good use in carrying out our oversight. Like Diana, we have a lot of things going on. Ukraine is very much our job one, and that support has enabled us to do that while maintaining all of our other oversight responsibilities. In terms of future hiring flexibilities, in our case, we're probably not quite as, don't need quite as many different ones as state perhaps, but we have identified one area where there could be some additional flexibility in the area of direct hiring authority that would be of assistance. And we also have been engaged with the Hill to talk about what that would look like. That would need also legislation as well, but it's something that would be helpful just to enable us to be a little bit more agile and flexible in getting staff on board. So I thank you for the question.
Thank you. And Ms. Angarella, I notice you're nodding your head. Is this an issue in your capacity as well?
Yes, I would, not to restate what Diana and Rob both said, but it's probably worth a little bit of an exclamation point that staffing, we spend our money through staff as IGs. That's what we do. And so when we are graciously appropriated money to do our important work, bringing on staff is how we spend the money and do the work. And so any flexibilities we can have that can expedite our ability to bring on experienced staff would help us do that work.
Thank you. And Ms. Shaw, are you concerned at all that the staffing issues that you've just outlined that are required to provide oversight in this area that you are at risk of having to take your eye off the ball in other areas that Department of State deals with?
So I'm glad to say that I don't think that that is a risk that has materialized, but it is something that we're keeping a close eye on. And so it's not a situation we want to find ourselves in, which is why we're giving so much thought to this situation right now. I'm confident that we'll be able to meet our global mission and the demands of oversight with respect to the situation in Ukraine, but any help that we can get on this regard will just help us do that more efficiently and more quickly.
Thank you very much. Thank you to all our witnesses. My time has expired, and I yield back.